everyone, and welcome to this Perform Nutrition with Food in Context webinar. Today, our topic of discussion will be eggs, so let's get into it. The agenda for today will include a description on what eggs are, how they are cultivated and farmed, whether they are sustainable, the nutrition breakdown of eggs, a recipe demo featuring eggs, the affordability, and ways to use eggs in cooking. So what are eggs? Eggs are the unfertilized reproductive body that comes from various bird species and are consumed as food. While chicken eggs are the most common, eggs can also come from ducks, geese, turkey, quail, pigeon, pheasants, and guinea fowl. And the size of the egg changes depending on the size of the bird. To break down the egg into its main parts, it's made up of the outside shell and inner membrane, which comes to 10% of the egg, albumin or egg whites, which is 60% of the egg, and then the yolk, which makes up 30% of the egg. And if this egg were to become a chick, the yolk would be supplying the nutrients, and the albumin or egg whites would be providing the water and also cushioning the yolk. For the origins, chickens were estimated to become domesticated 7,000 to 8,000 years ago in Southeastern Asia, and through colonization, they spread throughout the globe, eventually reaching the Roman Empire, where the first chicken eggs were thought to have been used as food. Then over time, more specialization of the different types of eggs and also the optimization of the nutrients within them occurred. For the cultivation and farming of eggs, the first step is the capture of the chickens. Hens are required to lay the eggs, so typically a barn full of hens will be collected in order to produce the eggs. Then once the hens are present, the nutrition has to be considered, as improperly fed hens will not lay eggs. And then the management system for the eggs should also be taken under consideration, as the collecting of the eggs needs to be outlined and standardized, and the hens need to be kept content in order to lay eggs. Operation size is also important, as more hens means more space and nutrition that is needed. Then long-term housing is also important for egg collection, as the hens need to receive adequate daylight, and it also relates to their protection. The hens need to be kept safely away from any predators, pests, and disease, and they need to be able to withstand the climate inside of the housing. So we have a quick question here, true or false? Eggs are equally as sustainable as chicken meat, true or false? I'm just going to pause here for you to answer. Okay, so the answer is false. As we can see on this graph here, eggs are below all of the animal proteins, including cheese, in terms of kilograms of greenhouse gases. However, they are not as sustainable as many plant sources of protein. Another point for sustainability is the welfare of hens, as many farming practices crowd barns with hens and mistreat them in order to obtain as many eggs as possible at the lowest price. Cage-free eggs are also not considered to be that much better than regular caged eggs, as the definition of cage-free is quite loose and overcrowding often occurs. They also tend to be a lot more expensive. However, pastured eggs are considered more sustainable, as they provide hens with the opportunity to remain outside on a pasture during the daytime and collect their own food and live naturally, and then overnight they're brought back to the barn. Egg production and farming also produces ammonia, as the hens produce the gas, and this can decrease air quality. Also, considering the social sustainability aspect, the health and safety of humans should be considered through quality assurance of the eggs before distribution, and also attention to food safety, which will be discussed more later on. Farmers' livelihoods should also be protected through adequate wages and stability in employment. These aspects of sustainability are covered by the 5 pillars of sustainability proposed by the Egg Farmers of Canada in their effort to implement some of these points. So we have a question here, which of the following type of egg is the most nutritious? Ones with a brown shell or with a white shell? And both are equally nutritious, because the color of the shell only relates to the type of hen and does not have to do with nutrition. Now another question here, which of the following types of egg is the most nutritious? Ones with a bright yellow yolk or with a dull yellow yolk? And the answer again is that they are both equally nutritious, as the color of the yolk only corresponds to the feed that was given to the hen and not the nutrition. Okay, so eggs are highly nutritious, as they contain many nutrients, including protein, cholesterol, unsaturated fat, possibly omega-3 fats when they're fortified, choline, biotin or vitamin B7, vitamin A, and the antioxidants lutein and zeaxanthin. Eggs are also a source of complete protein. This means that they contain all of the essential amino acids that we need. To get enough protein, a good serving size of eggs is 2 eggs. If only 1 egg, as we see here, is consumed, then an additional protein source could be needed, as 6 grams of protein is not enough for most individuals. And then we also need to follow the healthy plate model here, with a quarter of our plate consisting of protein. So 1 egg would typically not fill up a quarter of the plate. So consuming 2, maybe even 3 eggs could be needed. Eggs, however, are still a great addition because you can still get all of your essential amino acids. So we have a question here: true or false, eggs are a complete protein source? And the answer is true, just like we discussed on the previous slide. Another question: where is the cholesterol of the egg found? Is it within the yolk or within the whites? And the answer is it's found within the yolk of the egg. So now elaborating further on cholesterol, eggs do contain a fair amount of cholesterol, as 200 milligrams are present in each egg. However, having said this, the recommended intake per day of cholesterol is 300. So consuming an egg keeps you below this. And dietary cholesterol does not relate to blood cholesterol, as we previously thought they were closely related. They are in fact not. So eggs have not been found to be linked to increased cardiovascular disease risk because they don't really elevate your blood levels as much. However, if you do have certain conditions such as cardiovascular disease, your doctor may recommend that you restrict cholesterol, and in this case, the recommended intake would be 1 to 2 eggs per week. However, for most individuals who do not have any health conditions, consuming 1 to 2 eggs per day can be considered safe. So eggs also have some health benefits, as some studies have shown that they can decrease heart disease risk by increasing HDL, which is the good cholesterol, and promoting a good ratio between the LDL, which is the bad cholesterol, and the HDL present. These cardiovascular benefits are seen even more in omega-3 eggs. Eggs also contain the antioxidant lutein, which can promote good eye health, prevent inflammation such as inflamed joints, and prevent atherosclerosis. Lastly, eggs contain the nutrient of choline, which can support fetal development and prevent the risk of Alzheimer's disease. So we have a question here: true or false, it is safe to add raw eggs to smoothies? And the answer is false. From a food safety perspective, this can be risky. However, if you would like to add raw eggs to smoothies, you can use pasteurized eggs to be safer. Then another question here: true or false, it is safe to consume raw cookie dough? And the answer is again false, because cookie dough does contain raw eggs, which is again risky. And in order to make edible cooking dough, you can use the pasteurized eggs or omit eggs completely, and then use heat-treated flour to make a food-safe version that can be consumed raw. So food safety really needs to be considered in egg production in order to avoid chemical or bacterial contamination. Salmonella contamination is a common risk when it comes to eggs, as the chickens that lay the eggs could have salmonella present in their feces, which can then come into contact with the egg. The shell is usually where the contamination is present, but bacteria can also enter the shell through the pores. In order to reduce this egg risk, you need to make sure you store eggs appropriately in the refrigerator to keep them at the right temperature. We want to avoid the temperature danger zone, which is 4 to 60 degrees. Also, in egg production, they should be cleaned and pasteurized, and we should avoid consuming raw eggs, as this is when foodborne illnesses can occur. We will now use eggs in a recipe demo. So the recipe that we're going to be preparing today is shakshuka. To make this recipe, you'll need onion, olive oil, garlic, sweet paprika, ground turmeric, ground cumin, crushed red pepper flakes, chicken or vegetable broth that is low sodium, diced tomatoes that are low sodium, eggs, crumbled feta cheese, Optional, you can add chopped parsley and serve with toasted baguette rubbed with garlic and salt and pepper to taste. So this recipe contains 16 grams of protein per serving, which is a fair amount, and it is also high in calcium, iron, and vitamin A. We can consider our recipe or product to be high in a certain nutrient when the percent daily value is above 15%. Okay, so let's play the cooking demo.
Let's use some eggs to make shakshuka. Shakshuka is a versatile recipe that can be eaten at any time of the day. To start with, let's grab the ingredients you will need. Pause the screen to take note of the ingredients or refer to the recipe. The first step before we begin preparing is to wash our hands. Start by wetting your hands and then rub some soap between your palms, the backs of your hands, getting underneath your nails, and then rinse off. Now you'll need to wash and cut your onion. Start by cutting the onion in half and then make some vertical incisions all across your onion. Keep the end piece intact so that you're able to keep it together. Then cut through horizontally. Now you can just run your knife across to get an even dice. Flip the end piece over and give it a chop as well. Then repeat with the second half of your onion. Now it's time to wash and chop the garlic. Start by cutting off the little end pieces, and then use the flat side of your knife to crush the garlic so that you can easily run your knife through. Now run your knife over and chop it up finely, as you can see here. Then once you have a nice small dice, you're ready to begin cooking. Heat a cast iron pan on medium heat and then add your 3 tablespoons of olive oil. Next, add your onions and cook for 1 minute until they begin to soften. Mix well to coat with the oil. Then add in your garlic and all of your spices. Season with the salt and pepper to taste. Stir well and continuously to ensure that the spices coat all of the ingredients. Add your vegetable stock and then mix well to deglaze the pan. Next, add in your canned diced tomato. Give it a stir. Wait for the sauce to boil and then simmer it for 20 minutes. In the meantime, you can start getting your parsley ready. Start by plucking the leaves from the stems and then give it a good wash. And then you're ready to chop it up. Simply bundle it up and then run your knife over, going over multiple times to get a nice fine chop. Once the 20 minutes have passed and your sauce is thickened, use a ladle to create an indentation for your egg. Put your cracked egg into your indentation and then repeat for the rest of your eggs. Cracking your eggs into a bowl before adding it to the sauce can make it a bit easier to control your egg. Make sure to save the shells for compost. Grab your feta and sprinkle evenly all over the shakshuka. Cover your eggs first and then spread it over the tomato sauce. Make sure to get all of it evenly coated. Reduce the heat to medium-low and then cover the pan with the lid. Cook for 5 to 6 minutes or until the egg whites are no longer clear. While your eggs are cooking, toast your baguette. Grab your warm baguette slices and rub a garlic clove all over. This is to impart some of the garlic flavor. Repeat with the rest of the baguette slices. Once the 5 minutes have passed, remove the lid and take your shakshuka off the heat. Now garnish with the parsley and you're ready to serve with the garlic toast on the side. Enjoy your meal!
Okay, so now let's talk about affordability. Eggs are an affordable source of protein as the typical cost of an egg carton is around $3, sometimes less depending on the grocery store. Each carton contains 12 eggs, which can last a while. And then looking at the cost of the shakshuka recipe we just prepared, this would cost $8.64 for the whole recipe and $2.16 per serving. In comparison, if the same recipe was prepared using chicken, the recipe cost would increase to $11.30, and the cost per serving would increase to $2.83. Then, purchasing this dish from a restaurant would cost you $15 to $19 for one serving. So, making the recipe at home can increase the affordability by quite a lot, and using eggs instead of chicken also contributes to the affordability. And here are some suggestions for other ways to incorporate eggs into your diet. At breakfast, they can be scrambled, made into muffins, or simply prepared, for example, as an over easy egg. At lunch and dinner, some ideas for meals could include quiche, frittata, or an egg salad sandwich. Eggs can also be boiled and then prepared ahead of time in order to be conveniently consumed as a snack. And they can just be kept in the fridge and on hand for whenever they're needed. Then, for a plant-based alternative to eggs, Just Eggs is a new product that uses mung beans in order to stimulate an egg substitute. It contains 12 grams of protein per 100 milliliters and a sustainable option compared to eggs, as mung beans are very sustainable to cultivate. However, this product is much more expensive than eggs at $8.49 per bottle. So while it could be a good substitute for many people, it could also be out of reach for most. Here are the references that were used if you would like to look into them further. Thank you for listening. Check out Perform's website for other cooking webinars and to stay up to date on any ongoing research projects.